Okay? Nestle in very closely. Okay? Please, please whisper to your neighbor, okay? Speak very softly to your neighbor, okay? So it doesn't disturb the other neighbor, okay? And then I can kind of speak over your voices, especially the ladies that are sitting, or the couple that's sitting right behind me. Please whisper to your neighbor, okay? All right, let's begin. In fact, you, ladies, you're on tour. I can't see why you want to even be talking to your neighbor right now, because I don't want you to miss anything. Oh, I thought she was talking to someone. Guess what? She's on the telephone. She's paid $30-some-odd. Let me pull over here. Yes. I was wondering. I didn't see her husband's mouth moving. Yes. Right, just a sec. Okay, now she's off of it. Okay, now it's my turn. Top of the morning to each and every one of you. My name is Lorenzo. I'm going to be your driver and commentator on this gorgeous morning around the bay. I will be pointing out points of interest to you and elaborating on it just a little bit. Not enough to bore you, hopefully, just enough to make our little trip interesting and enjoyable. I will be speaking on the past, the present, and hopefully the future to be of my city of San Francisco. Also, looks like we might have a small tab, just a small tab of a little international group within our big group this morning, which is great as far as I'm concerned, because I get a chance to learn about your country as I share with you my city. And for you this morning, I'll do my best to speak as slow as possible, sometimes repeating myself, especially for those of you that feel us Northern Americans have a tendency to speak fast, so I'll try not to get too excited on this gorgeous morning around the bay and slow the pace down. It is one city block with 8 hairpin curves, better known to some as switchbacks. Now notice there's 4 blocks leading to the top portion of the hill. The hill itself is Russian Hill. And when we get into the Russian sector of the city, I will share with you the purpose of that design of roadway. Now, as we continue on through Little Italy, speaking on restaurants, if you're one that likes to venture out, try something new from time to time, the Stinky Rose restaurant is for you. I'm under the understanding everything on the menu at the Stinky Rose restaurant has garlic in it or on it. I mean everything, even the desserts, garlic ice cream. So if you get a chance to venture out and you see me again, let me know the outcome of it. It's located here on Columbus Street, 5 blocks to a left-hand side where it connects with Broadway. Folks, don't forget me up here. I cannot talk over your voices, okay? Keep in mind, you're right shoulder to shoulder with your neighbor, okay? Thank you. Now, the next 2 points of interest I'm going to share with you, they're connected to one another. The monument on top of the hill and the statue in the park. All the neighborhoods that we'll go in and out of, they have little parks within them. The park for this particular neighborhood, it is Washington Square. Also notice the church here on the left-hand side. St. Peter and Paul. I'll speak on it in just a moment. Now, the monument on top of the hill, there we are, Coit Tower. The statue in the park here on the left-hand side, it is a fireman, and in their arms they have a young lady. Here we are to our left-hand side. There we are. Fireman, they have a young lady in their arms, and her name is Lily Hitchcock Coit. We'll speak on the two a little later on as we leave Treasure Island, by the way. This is where we're en route to once again. Coming back to the very beautiful church over the left-hand shoulder, it is St. Peter and Paul. It is a small replica of Notre Dame located in Paris. This is where Joe DiMaggio and Norma Jean Baker, the artichoke queen of 1952. Marilyn Monroe had their photos taken on the steps, unable to have their photos or their vows taken in the church because they both had been wedded before. And as I said earlier, very small, very compact, very, very romantic. We can go from one neighborhood right into another neighborhood. For many of years, this particular neighborhood did not start until we arrived across Broadway, a block away. But with the large and rapid growth of the Asian people moving into this particular neighborhood, it has begun to spread into the Italian section of the city. Yes, this is Chinatown, the largest settlement of Asian people outside of the Orient. This ethnic group nationality is San Francisco by 4, without a doubt. The only ethnic group nationality in my city of San Francisco that has progressed consistently throughout time. dating back into the mid-1800s when the males first came to work on the railway. They had to be here 2 years before their families could join them. They've also been known to arrange associations to bring other family members stateside. It is a city within a city, a 24-block radius. The elderly pretty much live in this particular neighborhood, the younger generation living in San Francisco, but not here in Chinatown. Those of you that may have a little map, okay, keep it up with me just a little bit. And the next intersection that we're going to approach, it is Stockton Street. Stockton Street is considered to be the marketplace of Chinatown. In fact, of all the neighborhoods that will go in and out of Chinatown, we'll have the largest marketplace of them all. 8 to 9 blocks of nothing but markets. Notice to our right-hand side, just in case, which I hope that you will get a chance to come back to Chinatown. Please make sure, excuse me, to come along Grand Street, coming up at our next intersection, where all the little elegant shops are located, and the very beautiful gateway that was donated to Chinatown from the Republic of China in 1968, located at the corner of Grant and Bush. Now notice the narrow roadway here on the right-hand side. Once again, it is Grand Street. Notice to our right-hand side, referred to for many years as DuPont Street. It is the oldest street in our city. Now, if you kept up with me so far, just to share with you how compact my little city can be, we left North Beach, the Italian sector of the city, into Chinatown. Now we're leaving Chinatown, going back into a portion of North Beach that has been very popular for many of years with their nightlife area. In fact, the beatniks were here in the 50s listening to jazz and reciting poetry. In the 60s, the Condor Sports Bar here on the left-hand side was a cocktail lounge. And a young lady by the name of Carol Dodo put this particular nightclub on the map, bringing topless to our city of San Francisco. And has become a little further down on Broadway, 506 to be exact. Well, the name has changed, but the address remains to be the same. This is where Pinocchio's was once located. In fact, they've just closed their doors after 75 years of service. This is where the little boys have dressed up like little girls. Keep in mind, that was a very popular thing to do in the mid-1800s. Young ladies were unable to go into the taverns, so males had to dress up like females to entertain the other males. Once again, it was Pinocchio's. And we have just crossed Kearny Street, 1 block down on the right-hand side where it connects with Columbus, a very popular comedy club in the 50s, 60s, and 70s by the name of the Purple Onion, for stand-up comics as Phyllis Diller, Smothers Brothers, Robert Williams, along with Bill Crosby first got their chances. Once again, the Purple Onion, once located at the corner of Kearny and Columbus. And as you can gather, we're going down the grade here just a little bit. We just crossed over Montgomery Street, dating back into history, at least 150 years past. We would be right at the edge of the water level came up to Montgomery Street. And by the way, we're on the notorious Barbary coastline, where such words as Shanghai and Mickey Finn have been invented. And speaking of water, I'm in such a good mood this morning. Definitely looks like I got a great group on hand and a gorgeous morning. I'm going to take you into a portion of the city that I personally am very, very impressed with. And if you've been in our city at least 10 to 12 years past, before a 1989 earthquake, 7.1 on the Richter scale, you'll also be very amazed to see what we've finally done with our waterfront. A troubled area for many of years. In fact, very few local people coming into this portion of the city. Lots of folks in transit, moving about, loading, unloading ships, dating back into time when we were a very, very strong Union City. Such a strong Union City have been known to shut the city down from time to time. One union respecting another union's grievance procedures, and shipping was our main source of business along this particular roadway known as the Embarcadero. There were close to 100 piers very active. Well, we're no longer in the shipping business, and unions have become to be obsolete. They have begun to tear the piers down, turning them into very lovely shopping facilities, very similar to Pier 39, who has the suspension style located here in the city and county of San Francisco. I'll share with you the other portion here very shortly, referred to as the cantilever span portion, located in the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda. They say Oakland and San Francisco can't come together on anything, not even a bridge. But it's not so. It is the purpose of the two styles of bridges and I'll share that with you here very shortly as we leave Treasure Island. Then glancing on our left-hand side as we look into the west channel of the bay, I'll speak on those points of interest as we return back into the main frame of my city, coming back over to our right-hand side, looking into the east channel of the bay. As I said earlier, turning out to be a gorgeous morning. Let your eyes drift along the water's edge here on the right-hand side. You get a glimpse of the old gray Navy ships. That is Alameda Naval Air, one of quite a few military facilities located throughout the Greater Bay Area that have begun to close due to the downsizing and the cutbacks of our military. We're trying to build more rural peace than we are strength in our military, using the USS Hornet as a floating museum. It's doing its duty in the Korean War. It is a carrier. And as you come a little closer to us, we get a glimpse of downtown Oakland, the city referred to from time to time throughout history as the city in the shadows of San Francisco, the Diablo Mountain Range in the background, and a very good view of the port of Oakland. San Francisco no longer being the shipping city it was at one time, but it has still managed to keep it here in the Greater Bay Area. Oakland having one of the most advanced docks that there is in the world today, being able to load a ship in a 2-day period of time where it would normally take 2 weeks at the normal dock. They ship by pre-packed containers, brought down by truck, loaded onto the flat vessels with the large starboard-looking cranes, as San Francisco referred to them as, 2, 4, and 6 at a time. There are 2 high-tech ports on the West Coast, one in Seattle, Washington, and the other here in the Greater Bay Area of San Francisco and Oakland. Now we're slowly approaching a natural island that I refer to as Goat Island, getting its nickname from the Spanish explorers once having goats on their ship for milk, leaving them at this particular island because it is the greenest in the bay, and it also connects the two spouses, the two spouses bridges, the cantilever and the suspension, through the large man-made tunnel that we're slowly approaching. Also here on Goat Island will be the first of the very popular trees that we'll see throughout our little trip around the bay this morning. They are the very popular eucalyptus trees, the red gum, blue gum, squirt trunk, and flaming eucalyptus. These particular trees were brought into our state of California to be used as railroad ties, but finding out that they were very soft, flammable, and grew very crooked, unable to be used as railroad ties, eventually giving them to the golden state of California to be planted throughout the state to be used as windbreaks, as many countries throughout the world has used the eucalyptus trees for. Well, as you probably gather, at least hoping anyway, that's not the main reason I'm bringing this particular way this morning, to share a view of a tree with you. I could do that a little later on. But I'm always hoping, whenever I'm able to sneak over, share this view with my guests on one of my day tours, they're able to sneak over in the evening time and share it with someone else. With the 50th year anniversary lights on the bridge and the backdrop of the financial district in it makes for a breathtaking view. Coming up on the left-hand side here in just a brief moment, through the eucalyptus trees, it is the San Francisco portion of the Bay Bridge. We came over on the lower level, and we will return on the upper level. It is 2 suspensions joined together by the large concrete anchors, with enough concrete in the anchors, they say, to rebuild the Empire State Building. Now, this is the view I wanted you to get your cameras ready for. Now, if you have to look for your cameras now, guess what? You just missed it. No, I'm joking. That's why I slow down right about here, okay? All right, I'll get your cameras ready. Now, those of you on the right-hand side, prepare yourself. If you want to get this view, you might have to stand. And if you choose to do so, make sure you brace yourself. Now, while you keep whispering, I'll keep talking. Nothing like what it will be in the evening time. In fact, we're going to get 2 views of it, 2 perspectives of it, okay? The second, I like much better than the first because you're able to see more. Once again, you're on the left-hand side. If you're talking to your neighbor, you're definitely missing because I can only slow down for a short period of time. Once again, the San Francisco portion of the Bay Bridge. We're going to get another view of it. Not bad at all. Very clear. Now, notice they're installing hydraulics on this particular portion of it so it can bounce up and down. Okay, we're going to speak about this portion of the bridge shortly. Okay, don't sit down yet. The best is yet to come. Now, this is the one that I really like. And if you're not ready for this one, I don't know what to tell you. Ah, breathtaking. Throughout the history of my city of San Francisco, it doesn't take much, for us to have a celebration or a party or just an old-fashioned get-together. This little island that we're going to slow the pace down for our very first quick little picture stop, it is Treasure Island. Treasure Island was designed and built for the celebration of the opening of the two bridges, the Bay Bridge along with the Golden Gate Bridge. In fact, they refer to their celebration as the International Golden Gate Exposition. 1939, it was such a success, they held it for one more year in 1940, but in 1940 they invited the world to the city by the bay and referred to it as a World's Fair. And when the fair was over, the city of San Francisco was going to use Treasure Island for an airport for the Pan Am Air Clipper airplanes. But before they could get in under construction, World War II came about, and the military, wanting Treasure Island, willing to swap some property for it, and did do so. Where our old ballpark is located, Candlestick Ballpark was the property that was swapped for. And since then, Treasure Island has belonged to the military. Even though they're no longer housed on it, the city of San Francisco is in a joint venture with the military to maintain the upkeep of Treasure Island. And by doing so, they're renting out to various companies, organizations, and now today I'm under the understanding to the veterans for housing, along with the movie studios. Nash Bridges with Don Johnson has been filmed here on Treasure Island in the winter months in one of the large hangars. Okay, now once again, we're going to make 3 quick little picture stops. This will be our first picture stop here at Treasure Island. Our second quick little picture stop will be at the Civic Center. Our third quick little picture stop will be to see some painted ladies. Yes, some very beautiful Victorian homes known as the Seven Sisters or the Painted Ladies. Now there's a little gift shop there. Poof, it up, it disappears. Please, no shopping, no browsing, okay? We'll do all that later on because we're going to have a couple of 3 lengthy stops, and we'll do all the shopping and browsing, eating clam chowder, things of that nature later on. So we don't want to let it get in our way now, keeping our timing going. Okay, we're going to go into the property. Now keep in mind, the military is no longer housed on it, but if you know anything pertaining to our federal government, I would say they still own it. Now the points of interest that I'm going to point out to you fairly quickly, I will elaborate on them just a little bit more as we leave Treasure Island. They're all going to be on the right-hand side as we look into the east channel of the bay. The largest island in the bay, it is Angel Island. The mountain next to it, the left of it, is Mount Tamalpais. Whenever getting any snow here in the greater Bay Area, for many of years, it has always been at the tip top of Mount Tamalpais. But we made history. The past 2 winters, snow fell at an 800-foot level, putting a white cap on the Diablo Mountain Range behind the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda. The hillside here on the right-hand side with the homes on the side of it, it is Sausalito, along with the hill of Marin. The little island with the light blinking on and off, it is Alcatraz. My very beautiful Golden Gate Bridge, my city of San Francisco, and the San Francisco portion of the Bay Bridge, all on our right-hand side as we look into the west channel of the bay. As we exit the gateway, glancing over to our left-hand side, it is the cantilever span portion of the Bay Bridge. It is the portion that we did not and will not be crossing. But once we leave this location, I will share with you the purpose of the 2. making of the bridge to rebuild all the high-rises in our downtown area. Once again, that's up to 1985, and we're up top, and we're headed west. As we clear Treasure Island here on the right-hand side, the largest island in the bay that I just pointed out to you, it is Angel Island. Angel Island has been referred to from time to time throughout history as the Ellis Island of the West Coast, used as a quarantine and also an immigration island up to 1910. Today it's used for recreation, overnight camping, hiking, bike riding. The only problem that it has been on Angel Island throughout its history has been the large number of deer, multiplying very rapidly. No way to get them under control because there's no hunting on Angel Island. And the little island next to it, I'm not for sure how many of you are going over to visit it today. The first name of it, Taligan, a Spanish word meaning Alcatraz, nicknamed The Rock, along with the Devil's Hellhole, housing some very bad characters throughout the history of the United States. Turk Military Penitentiary, 1909 to 1912. Turk Federal Penitentiary, 1933 to 1963. 1969, some local American Indians went over to a reclaimer, kept her hostage, not realizing that the federal government was preparing itself to make a decision on what to do with Alcatraz, turn it into a historic landmark or a gambling casino. A historic landmark won out that opened the doors in 1971 for tours. The purpose of the closure of Alcatraz, not just because the buildings were deteriorating, but too expensive to house an inmate on the property. There's nothing growing on the island. Everything has to be brought over from the mainland. That also means food and water. And as our eyes slowly drift into shore, the monument sitting on top of the hill, soaring into the air 210 feet high, designed to resemble a farmer's hose nozzle. It is Coit Tower, named after Lily Hitchcock Coit. At an early age, she was saved by firemen, and as she grew up, she was very fascinated with the procedures of the volunteer fire department, and when she passed away in Paris in 1929, leaving the city of San Francisco $100,000 to beautify it. And in turn, San Francisco had that monument built in 1933 in memories of her and also the volunteer fire department of the early 1800s. Coit Tower sits on top of Telegraph Hill, getting its name from the machines once located above it, able to signal the merchants to come down the shore so they could be the first ones down to make the best deals. Well, we passed right in front of it. I didn't get a chance to elaborate on it. A very interesting architecture style structure with the clock on the side of it, undergoing restoration, having Port of San Francisco on the side of it, and completed new in 1889. It is the ferry building, main hub of transportation. Long before the bridges were completed, one would have to catch a ferry at that location to go from one side of the shore to the other. Also used as the World Trade Center, digging back into history when San Francisco's main source of business was shipping, gateway to the Orient. The ferry building also sits at the foot of Market Street, separating the even number from the odd number of piers, which have been torn down so they can offer the people in the new, very, very expensive condominiums a view of the bay. Also, several celebrations have taken place in front of the ferry building as recently as 2000, as far back as VJ Day, 1945. Also, the beauty that I spoke on as we came along the water's edge, covering roughly 7.5 miles, costing the city $2.5 billion, and the palm trees alone costing the city $6,000 a piece. Also came to a highlight in front of the ferry building the beginning of 2000. Well, I was hoping to see one of the light rails come out of the tunnel here on the right-hand side underneath us. There's a little light rail system that runs underneath Market Street, and it surfaces right at this particular point to our right-hand side, designed to go down to the new ballpark coming up on our left-hand side to help with the parking at the new ballpark, and above all, the intoxicated individuals after the ball game. I'll share that with you in just a moment. That is the new ballpark, not the intoxicated individuals. As we glance over to our right-hand side, looking into our skyline, now keep in mind now, we live in earthquake country, and placing glass at the top of a structure can be very, very risky. Well, the Marriott chain took a chance up on it as we passed the Bud Light sign coming up on her right-hand side here in just a moment. We're going to see another interesting architecture style structure. This time, a great deal of glass above it, giving the illusion in the evening time from Treasure Island that it resembles a jukebox. Well, if you get a chance, stop by the Marriott on 4th Street. Go up and meet the barkeep. He has a lot of stories to share with you about the 1989 earthquake. And there we are to our right-hand side. Once again, it is the Marriott on 4th Street. But before we get too far gone, glance over to our left-hand side, looking into the China Basin. There's our new pride and joy. There's those of you that play soccer and rugby and cricket, and it's the home of our professional baseball team, the San Francisco Giants. Open baseball season of 2000, referred to as Willie Mays Ballpark, and considered to us locals to definitely be one of the sweetest little ballparks located within a metropolitan city area. But it's really designed and built in this portion of the bay because of the weather, having a tendency to be a tad warmer than at the old Candlestick Ballpark, and above all, it does not have that treacherous wind with a little chill factor to it. In fact, some of you may have seen a game or two at the old Candlestick Ballpark and know that pitchers really have their work cut out for them. In fact, many pitchers have been known to lose their balance and because they were blown off the mound at the old Candlestick Ballpark. Well, our football team will continue to play there. The high winds are not there in the winter months, only in the summer months as we slowly leave the express route. Here on the left-hand side, designed a great deal like the Cypress Freeway that I spoke on earlier, located in the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda, that suffered damage in the 1989 earthquake. Traffic dozens of people in between. Well, that old structure has been torn down and replaced with a much modern structure throughout the greater area. Now, those of you that have your little maps, keeping up with me from time to time, or just wondering where we're at, well, we're back into the main frame of my city, first of all, and we're in what's referred to as south of Market Street. It also depends on what little map you're looking at. It may just say SOMO, which is Indian name given to the area, but if you look at the abbreviations, it will still indicate south of Market Street. Market Street is considered to be our longest and also widest thoroughfare. In fact, its engineer, Jasper O'Farrell, mid-1800s, referred to it as the Grand Thoroughfare, beginning on our right-hand side in front of the Perry Building, covering roughly 3.5 miles through the city, ending up at the second and third highest point in our city, which is Twins Peak, located here on our left-hand side. Well, you may not recognize the peak. In fact, there's too much fog there on the left-hand side to even see Sutro Antenna that sits above it, which we'll speak about a little later on, because we may get a better view of it. Market Street also separates or divides the financial from what little light industry we've had. No longer having any light industry, the city has tried to redevelop this particular portion of the city, getting little business to move back into it, even though it has been publicized for many of years, and this particular portion of our city is slowly sinking. It is landfill, and as we cross Market Street, getting ready for our second little picture stop, it is the Civic Center. For our city buildings, state buildings, and federal buildings are located. All the buildings here in our Civic Center area have been or will be going through restoration. And a breathtaking building coming up on the left-hand side right about here. It is City Hall. It is the it's the first building to be built here in the Civic Center area. It has recently been completed restoration, closed for roughly 2 years. We opened about 18, possibly 19 months now. It is also the first of the older structures that have the new hydraulic earthquake system placed beneath it. In order to install it during the restoration, the building had to be lifted. Yes, I said lifted. The purpose for it, when we're having tremors, vibrations like we're more than likely having right about now, it will no longer bounce up and down. It is now designed to sway to its left and also to its right. Even if you're not thinking about putting together a little self-guided tour and you're looking for one point of interest to return to, I always recommend to my guests, make it City Hall. The highlight of the building is not the new gold leaf or even meeting our Mayor Willie Brown that has done wonders for the city, they say. The highlight of the building, it is the breathtaking rotunda. Those of you that are not familiar with our rotunda, it is the staircase on the interior of the building. When the building was completed new, it was at a cost of $3.5 million, completed in 1916, 16 feet higher than the U.S. Capitol building. And by the way, we have the 5th highest dome in the world, 305 feet high. Once again, it is City Hall. His architect, Arthur Brown Jr. Let's do Okay, let's make way to our third little picture stop. In fact, we're en route to see some very beautiful Victorian homes. In fact, once we arrive there, most of you will recognize the view. Believe it or not, most of you have seen this view somewhere along the way, on television or movies or however, but we're en route to see it. Now, those of you that have your little maps, keeping up with me, in addition, well, the 60s came. Oh, the good old 60s. Bringing all together different groups in this neighborhood. In the 50s, this particular group was known as beatniks, or better yet known as, in the 50s they were known as beatniks. In the 60s they were referred to as flower children, or better yet known to some as hippies, wearing old funky clothes from thrift stores, protesting against the Vietnam War, amongst others, spreading love instead of violence throughout the world, letting everyone know if you come to our city by the bay to please make sure to wear flowers in your hair. Moving into this particular neighborhood because it was affordable. 2 would rent the property and 30 of us would move in. Once again, that was in the 60s. Now, on this little route that I chose to come in on are the first of the Victorians I'll be sharing with you this morning. And at the latter part of the 1800s, they began to interchange the 3 styles with one another, coming up then with a 4th and 5th style. As we approach the intersection, this particular style is named after its architect, Eastlake, the one with the 2 stair casings, the 4 units, that is known today as Stick Victorian, or the Italianate. If you follow my little scenario, I have any idea of what I've been speaking on, and you like the older homes, you'll love this particular block. This particular block is breathtaking. It has been completed for restoration. In order to appreciate the beautiful old Victorian homes, you have to look way up top to see all the character. Gingerbread, better known to some as garden. The bay window, very popular, getting its name from the San Francisco Oakland Bay, coming up with an ideal in the mid-1800s on how to get more light within the dwelling on very heavy overcast days, which our city of San Francisco is very, very well known for. Now, just to let you in on a little tip, all the way from Van Ness Avenue, the very beautiful Golden Gate Park, all of the Victorians have been built after the turn of the century. And you can always tell because there is one big inch in between each dwelling. Yes, all it takes is just an inch, even though most of you probably felt at one time that the homes here in my city were just not close to one another. You probably felt that they were joining one another, and you're definitely correct. Before the turn of the century, after one of the little earthquakes, the contractors rebuilding the city of San Francisco very, very quickly, using a great deal of our state trees that can soar into the air anywhere from 1 to 2 football fields in height. The contractors would use one of those high, long redwood beams to attach a roll of homes going up a hill or down a hill in a domino effect. In fact, the contractors getting so far in hand, the city having to step in at the turn of the century and pass a city ordinance stating then the homes had to be an inch apart. And by placing that 1 inch city ordinance, the contractors could no longer use one wall in between you and your neighbor. The contractors then had to place 2 walls, one for you, one for your neighbor. The redwood beam had to be cut. Even though you're living very close to your neighbors, you will not join your neighbors. At that time, you had a single family dwelling. Now, all the Victorians that we have been and will be seeing, they're all fabricated dwellings. Yes, and most of you wondering, the piece of art in the front yard, what is it? It is a piece of art that was left over from the 60s, and his owner still stays here, and he's still stuck in the 60s. He comes out on a weekly basis, and he expresses himself. He has a stair casing in the middle of it, He has this peace sign that lights up in the evening time, and he has his mirrors reflecting on where he's been. And the San Francisco flag up top. Now, as we go up the hill, these are the most popular of all the Victorians throughout the city. These are the Queen Anne's with the round bay window, the willow walk up top. The Europeans brought these to our city from 1880 to 1900. And we're going to get a good side view of a Victorian here on the left-hand side, very wide from the side, very narrow from the front, because when we take our next little photo stop, most of you are going to be curious to know, do they have front yards? Do they have backyards? Yes, this one here on the left-hand side has a backyard. It's right above the garage. Close to 3,200 square feet, sitting on a 25,000-foot lot, no longer used as a single-family dwelling. This one has been converted into 3 flats. Now, the painted ladies that we'll see here very shortly have always been used as single-family dwellings. The basement has been converted into a garage. And here on the left-hand side, we have finally arrived. It is Alamo Square, the park for this particular neighborhood, completed in 1877, containing beneath it a very large body of water to be supplied to the civic center area. Particular neighborhood that have running water. And up there, the address is 1198 to be exact on the right-hand side. And a very interesting character lived here in the 60s. Charlie stayed here in the 60s. Yes, some of you know him as Charlie Manson, doing some of his naughty things from that location. Well, the 60s had left us, top part of the 70s, the flower children going back into the main frame of life, the city of San Francisco trying to make a rebound from all the damage that had been done to the Victorians, the city stepping in once again, asking the homeowners to bring their property values back up by painting their homes pastel colors, using only 3, a gray, yellow, white, asking the federal government for home improvement loans, low interest rates, of course. When these particular Victorians were first built throughout my city, mid-1800s, they were completed restoration days within one another, not weeks or months, but days within one another. Once again, on the left-hand side, the Seven Sisters, or the painted ladies on postcard roll. As I said earlier, this is going to be our last little quick picture stop. Those of you that started your little tour on the East Coast, you can now say that you have gone coast to coast. This is also where our amusement park and ice skating ring was once located. This area was also made very popular in the heydays of San Francisco by Adolf Sutro. He making his wealth and fortune in the silver mines, coming up with an invention on how to get the remaining ore out of the mines without using heavy equipment. Excuse me, using just plain water to flush the mines, bringing his wealth and fortune to the city of San Francisco, taking it on with each and every challenge, buying the first of 4 cliff houses from 2 French sailors, which resulted into fire due to an explosion, a ship full of explosives hitting the rocks. He building the next 2 thereafter, still resulting in the fire, eventually passing away, and his daughter building the 4th. And as promised, we're going to make another stop, and this time, since we've done so well with one another on the last one, we're going to make this a 20-minute stop, okay? That was a coincidence that we really worked together well. Okay, so I know I wish we could give a little longer, but unable to do so, okay? So once again, we'll be here for 20 minutes. Now, those of you that are going on the afternoon Alcatraz tour, which I didn't get a chance to speak on earlier, because they kind of want us to leave there quickly. Those of you that are going on the Alcatraz tour, or those of you that are going on the personal procedures once we leave this location, okay? But mainly those of you that are going on the Alcatraz tour or going on the afternoon Millwood Sausalito tour, there's nothing aboard the island going to the island of Alcatraz or the boat going to Alcatraz. So if you feel a little appetite coming on and you do not have a, say, 245,
There's the guy that was in the brochure that's painted gold.
Aren't paying attention to the when you got...
We were at the coffee shop. I got it.
Oh, yeah. Over at Sparky's? So you got a really big...
No, I don't.
Are you on 1 or do you clear out to 23?
I don't have any idea.
What is this number up here?
4X.
Well, then get it back to 1.
I don't understand.
Your telephoto, you don't
You
want
got it at 23 now.
Well, then go the other direction. Whichever direction I just went, go
I don't know what you did. I don't have a clue what you did.
There's a rocker switch.
Okay, it's on 1 axis.
Oh, now just hold it up in the air and... Gosh. This is a one-way only, isn't it? Wonder what it would be like to live on this.
How the heck would you get into that garage?
Very carefully.
can hardly get this tailgate out of the street.
And this is the end of it? As far as the crookedness?
As far as the crookedness.
We want to go back to the west.
Posto che il giardino, sta una...
Señales, como acceso al outdoor, si quieres, cuando
Seguimos bajando, ¿eh?
Papá, cuidado.
Mira, ven acá, Marisabel. Marisabel, ponte de este lado, a ver cómo la pasamos. No hay tierra por aquí para poder hacerlo por ahí.
Darko macie w kocie, Darko macie w kocie. Panie Darek, macie w kocie. Panie macie w kocie.
Hay que seguir bajando.
Ya, bueno, pues nadie baja.
Ay, qué bien. Qué bonita.
Muito mais. Jogar outro no céu.
Ready?
Oh. Point Tower.
Ryan's point is we're meeting people who walk down the floor, run around.
You should ride up to the museum and then come back from there. But that's about halfway, and you can do that.
Okay, we'll have plenty of time.
You have plenty of time. You're gonna meet her right back here?
We're meeting them a couple blocks up here.
Because you'll have plenty of time. Plenty of time. The cable car's gonna bring you right back to where those cable cars are.
Yeah.
And you can walk down there in less than 5 minutes.
How long is it?
5 minutes.
You understand down here, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah, he's blown himself off.
gotta step
He uses aluminum ladders,
So that I can
ties in the wire.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Like 3 or 4 times she would say, oh God, he comes home
You want it back?
and he says, well, blew yourself off another ladder today.
liability for the
I was talking about that. It must be an exception.
Probably got some fine print stuff in that, I suppose. Or were we down here?
No, we went back on the other one to the boat.
We came up this way and went up there.
You went from the
Carrie
Dow reunion.
Patrick.
Thank you. And she sent a bunch of
When
gifts
is
for
my,
last year.
my good memory gonna do me any good?
Yeah, we hope never, because we're gonna be in trouble if it does.
Or it could be Kelly rather than Carrie Patrick.
I want to remember
Anyway,
not to
it's
get so busy and take pictures today. I haven't taken any pictures.
Barbara, here.
Oh, no.
Here. Liz taking our pictures.
See, I'm getting so old, I don't even fight with you anymore. Now, we gotta turn this on. Oh, Amy will just come in.
Love.
Hot dogs! Get your hot dogs! Get your mustard relish! Get your bacon beans!
Peanuts, popcorn.
Now where is the cow? Right. We'll have to get that later, right?
When she moved, went to bed. She went out to the pasture someplace.
Oh boy, this is good this morning.
Do you want some coffee, or are you coffeeed out right now?
We just got done with a bunch of...
No, it's left over from his goal last week, as the, you know,
I'll drink a
little by
cup
little
if
by
it's made,
little.
but don't make it if it isn't.
Well, I have
And
regular coffee
That's
made.
fine, that's fine.
Okay.
It's early
There
enough in
it's
the day,
gone.
and I'm close to a bathroom.
She's a little jumpy already, really don't matter.
Oh, well, goodness, I don't make up.
I
like the way-
Did I say that
I
right?
like the way you have put these in here, with these little squiggly papers on. Oh, like this one here, it looks
She
like you
probably
cut
has
it out of an
taken
album
my
or
own.
Well,
something.
have your kids gotten into memory books?
My granddaughters are in what they call scrapbooks.
Yeah, and the kids got all that equipment, and they were doing it, and then they got me this book, so then I started doing
But I
some
like,
things.
that's cute, with
Yeah.
little pictures.
I mean, I wasn't creative, because I was just trying to get, you know, the pictures.
Around
on
the
it.
corner.
But I did the...
Well, here's the guy, too.
This guy, there's a lot
This one. Wait a minute. This one they all say. Give me
So how was, I didn't even ask, Leonard Phillips, how was the night there? How was the room and comfort level?
Good.
Let him do it.
was better than ours because when I...
Remember what I had...
say you did yourself earlier.
With Cameron, and he's not afraid of water at all. He does really good, but he needs to have fun.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do, and then...
I wasn't so
even
concerned
though
about me getting wet, but I was worried about losing my glasses and my beer.
Somebody they don't know.
That beer could be a problem.
But I didn't have the
I
beer.
knew
You know where she'll lose it.
Now I have,
She'll lose it through her suit. Oh, you haven't drank it yet,
That's
have
what
you?
I do.
Oh, never mind.
I do my breaststroke with my head above the water, and I do a side stroke with my head above the water.
Hey, I did a breaststroke.
Turn this in, aren't you, the Candy camera?
Hold on,
This
baby.
Spy TV? Spy TV, there you go.
You want, Mommy wants to put some lotion on you? Yeah.
Well, what we're having, we can just eat all
Yeah, we must have put
all day long,
All
all
day
night
long.
long, so I'll get it going. Yeah, put lotion on. Yeah, birthday cake and everything all over it.
sit there till Mommy gets the lotion.
Okay?
On the screen.
So your skin is get hurt, huh? Your animals Are you having hammer? And how long? Okay, hold on, let me get your everything at space when how long does it take for the first round? Hold on.
Make it look sleepy. Are you sleeping?
No. You were sleeping in the car, Megan.
Hold on.
Okay, wait, hold on. I gotta rub it in your face. So if I want
For water baby.
I'm there by 6, will you feed me?
I told you I'd go wait till the world starts.
Or another offer that I gotta do where else.
You've got a camera, huh?
Nice for to swim with you, huh?
I don't have a swimming pool in my house.
Okay. You get your swim ring, Meg. Jeff, let me get a towel and dry you off a little bit. Let's put some sunscreen on you so your skin doesn't get hurt.
So, how many years were you at the time?
You're not afraid, are you?
Hold on, Jesse. Go back in just a minute. Thanks, Jess. You're such a sweet.
My granddaughter.
You went from wine type to...
Like your grandma's granddaughter?
Rub your pants. Wipe your pants off on my pants.
Been there quite a while, but I was there, no, a year, but I was 28.
Nice in here. I don't know how daring are they? Do they take off on their rings without being known on?
Probably, yeah, yeah. You are.
San Diego Union has a museum at the Del Mar Fair.
Hold on.
Did you leave
You
your
are
own home?
kicking. Yeah, we were just at Brendan's birthday party. We looked at Jesse, go. Ho, ho, ho. You want me to do that guy? What about mommy? I'll do mommy part. Noodle. Mom. I don't know if I can reach Megan right now. Oh, no! Okay, you want to go in? Watch out! Let's noodle the camera!
Oh!
I didn't mean to say you. Turn around this way. Go ahead and step it.
There she comes.
Yeah, Mom.
You have to be careful when you're in the water.
And climb up this side.
There goes Noodle over there.
Don't have a kind of fear.
Can we go over here where it's Megan? Here she comes.
A noodle? Noodle. Noodle. I'll go get the purple one.
I need to put on her suit and jump in with that. Bathing soup on.
Bathing soup?
Your bathing soup.
Oh, it's a noodle. What animal has a trunk like that?
What is that? A
Are they done already? Oh! Oh! I better get this filmed so I can send it to them in a few years.
Embarrassed the heck out of them, right?
I don't remember my pants being that full when I came out. Although they had a lot of water in them.
Yeah, they do.
They were so full they turned your pockets wrong side out.
Is that what did it?
I can't understand.
You want to get your hair wet, or you
Oh.
did get your hair wet.
Yeah, I got my glasses. That's all right.
You were cleaning them, weren't you?
That's twice now they've been cleaned.
Thank you. So, Ann, where did you guys drive from?
Fontana.
You're coming back, going back tonight.
Wow.
It's
If you look on a map,
How many
you
hours
find
is it?
Aiken
Yeah.
and the city of San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Just for the camera?
Yeah, I wish I had done those ways. That's pretty good money now. Yeah? When we were out there, we were making
Yeah,
one. I had no
big
clue. I
big.
know, I had no clue. I wish I just wanted out. Me too. But, gosh, when you think back, oh yeah. One weekend a month, what?
Isn't that Reverend friend of yours? What did he retire as? He was in Simmering, still really tall fellow.
Lieutenant Commander.
Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah, see, I know I'd have made one or Lieutenant Commander, or Master Chief at the most, but I mean at the least. But geez, when I got out, I was at P6 over 6, and I was making $600 a month. Went to work for STG&E that next year, made $16,000, and I had no clue what was going to happen. That I mean, I have a friend that retired from the Air National Guard as a major lieutenant commander, and you know he's probably going to get $1,500, $1,700 a month the rest of his life. That's real money. And in San Diego, there's no excuse for one weekend a month, 2 weeks a year.